Hello, my name is Dale Dufay, and I'm going to do the commentary on this video for Mary Hall. This video is kind of you know, pertaining to a discovery made in Nevada. Now, we're going to revisit this simply because some comments were made. One of them was a really good question, like where do the ley lines, where are they in relationship to the pyramid or the proposed pyramid base? And the other one was a criticism. It was saying we should do our research that there was the Candelaria mines near there. Now apparently that person didn't watch the whole video because I did mention that. Uh, I know that the Candelaria mines are there. I mentioned it very clearly because there's obvious evidence of that with the byproducts and things like that. But what I need to, or what I don't need to, but what I'd like to show here is an argument against that. Now, it's this proposed pyramid platform has nothing to do with mining, and there's many reasons why I could say that. Here's the mining, the Candelaria mining operations were through here. You can see the open pit mines here, and what they do is when they do mining like this, or even tunnel mining, they take the byproducts and they don't, you know, again, the mines are right here in this general area. You could actually see two of them. They're not going to truck the waste product all the way around here and start building a pile on a flat surface. Okay, that's not done like that. They do this right here. They bring it not far from the mine, very close, and they fill. They don't start building a pile. They dump into a ravine just like they're doing right here, and have done. And over here, this one's completely filled, but they don't pile, they fill, because you have to look at it from an economic standpoint. They're not going to spend any more time than they have to on a waste products from the mining operation. Now, they call these slough piles or whatnot. They're going to spend a minimal amount of time on that. Now, if this was waste products from the process of mining and whatever they do with the ore and separate it and process it and all this and that, they wouldn't make any profit whatsoever. Because furthermore, is not only is it a good distance from the mine, but they're not going to spend time making it a perfect 1,800 by 1,800 foot square. Nor are they going to waste their time maintaining a perfect 53-degree slope on all four sides and make this 300 feet tall. Could you imagine the incredible expense? So that alone, economics alone, rules this out from being potentially anything to do with the mines whatsoever. And these are, of course, they're right there by it. This one you could even see the top's not flat. This one, the top's pretty flat, and this one's pretty flat. But that's to maintain an even grade so they can bring the dump trucks across and dump around the edge. So this, there's very minimal effort and minimal time, as you would expect, involved here. Now I showed some pictures of this slough pile, this one here. This one's interesting because it does have somewhat, but they did that to keep it between the roads, to keep the roads. Here's one here. So we're going to look at these three. I got it put in a camera roll or album. And you can, all right, we'll start with this one. See, this is the heart-shaped one. See how that's got the erosion, it's got the loose gravel, and some of the pictures you can see the gravel real loose along the bottom. And the color's different. This color is indicative to silver mining. This is what the byproduct of silver mining looks like. Okay, now we go. We can see clearly here that here's the pit mine, and you can see how these are just put into a ravine. See, once it's lifted out of the pit into original grade, they're not going to go any higher. they stay at that grade and fill. If they were, if that was the case with the pier, that other one, they would actually be piling, which was totally uneconomical. And here's again the pit mine, and the very close removal. Again, they're not. It's obvious they're not spending any time on trying to maintain a certain shape, especially a perfect square. Like I mentioned in a previous video about this, it's very difficult to square up anything, even a small room in a house, let alone a huge 1,800 foot by 1,800 foot square. It's virtually, I mean, it's an engineering feat beyond imagination. Again, it may just seem like nothing and simple. A lot of people seem to know, but it's not. You see how the top of this one's totally irregular? It's not flat. I've noticed a multiple range of colors, and that's because of the extracting from the certain depths in the mine. Their colors are going to be different, and we see that here. We don't see that in a mine. Look at all the different colors here, and look at how loose it is, and how all the erosion from the rain. It's just we don't see that anywhere on that pyramid base. Here you can see all the loose gravel on the bottom, all the erosion. Even though this has been here a long time, it's even got some growth on it. Those could be larger pebbles and things though too, but you could clearly see the color variations that they experience when they're mining. And see how they fill this? They come straight. Now the top of the mine pit is up here, and they just simply bring the equipment here and dump it, wherever. They're not worried about keeping it square. They can't. They can't spend any time on this waste product. Otherwise, they're not going to make any profit, even on gold. If they were to try and build what the perfect square, at 1,800 by 1,800 by 300 foot tall perfect square, they wouldn't have made any profit whatsoever. They would have been spending millions of dollars on heavy equipment and the use of that heavy equipment, and paying people to run that heavy equipment to maintain that perfect square slope, everything. I can go on and on and on. So hopefully I made that argument clear. The pyramid in question does not have anything to do with the mining operations. It's as simple as that, my friend. So there goes that. All right, now let's talk about the as we kind of let's go back to the site. And someone brought up an excellent question that never even occurred to me, because I don't know much about them, is ley lines. Are there any ley lines going through this? Now, I can't really tell you in detail what ley lines are, again, because I don't know much about them. But those of you who do, maybe you know a lot more about them than I do. To me, that was a great question. So again, there it is. It's totally different color than these slough piles from these mines, the Great Candelaria mines and the Great Candelaria Mountain. There's a lot of silver here, and I mentioned it in the original video. But again, that person that criticized it obviously didn't watch the whole video. They're quick to criticize. We call those haters. But the thing is look at the color difference. Honestly, if you look on Apple Maps, there's even more of a color difference. It's interesting. But Apple Maps doesn't have as good of a 3D as this one does. But you can clearly see. Someone mentioned too, this looked inverted. So you got to keep in mind that this is elevated 300 feet, and sometimes you get the illusion that it's inverted. Especially, it's an optical illusion, especially in this 3D setting. But rest assured, this is 300 feet tall, and it may even be more, but the best I can calculate is 300. You have to do the math when it comes to this 53-degree angle and all that. But again, I did a ton of research on this long before I even did this video for Mary, because I was just fascinated by this discovery. And again, we shouldn't be surprised whatsoever because they're finding pyramids all around the world. So why wouldn't there be one in North America? Of course, there'd be one in North America, and here's one of them. Probably, and this is much larger than the Great Pyramids in Giza. Much larger. In fact, I had a scale, basically a pyramid, the Giza pyramid, standing next to this, and I can do that when we put this through the video shop. I could show you a comparison. We're talking just, I mean, just to give you a perspective of how huge this is. Again, this is something that we have to keep in mind. This is this top platform here at 300 feet elevation from the surface. This is a high elevation anyway, but this flat, perfectly square area on the top is 1,000 feet by 1,000 feet. Just it's inconceivable distances here when it comes to the size of this thing. I mean, it might not sound like too much initially, but when you start putting it into perspective, you could sit 8 city blocks on there or more. I even superimposed a scale shot of some city blocks in Los Angeles, or I'm sorry, in Las Vegas, and superimposed it on there just to get a good idea. I mean, because I've done videos on this in the past, but it's still to me, this is the most amazing discovery, modern discovery in the United States. But nobody's gonna believe it, especially when you got people assuming that it's a slough pile or a waste pile from mining operations. So I hope I made that clear that that's impossible. There's no loose gravel, not even along the bottom. This is tightly, perfectly packed and maintained structure here that is ancient to the extreme. Again, it's not even lined, it's so ancient, it's not even lined up to true north. Now, prehistoric north, I assumed it went this way, but I guess it's possible it went that way too. But either way you look at it, it's off by almost 25 degrees from true north today, because pyramids generally line up in the cardinal directions like that. And no doubt this one was when it was being constructed. And I also proposed that the reason it wasn't finished is because the glaciers were approaching very close, no doubt, because we know that they went pretty far south in the northern latitudes of North America. Like in some of them, went below the Great Lakes into Pennsylvania. There's evidence that they did. So they were probably getting pretty close to this thing, and they stopped. Either that, or there was some global cataclysm, which did occur some 12,000 years ago. That might have stopped this, but I believe that this is even older than that, because this is so huge. I mean, again, this is even huge in pyramid standards, let alone mining operation byproducts. I mean, that's why some people should finish watching the video before they leave hate comments. I've always been a true believer, even if you don't like somebody's video, at least give them, don't be mean, don't give them a thumbs down. At least, you got to give them at least an A for effort. And at the very least, don't make a mean comment, don't leave a thumbs down. You got to give them, for effort. It's usually those people that do make those hateful comments. Maybe 1 out of 100 has their own content. The other 99 couldn't make their own video if their life depended on it. So those are the ones that are the most critical, it seems. But this is not, no way. Okay, so here's the next thing I was always wanting to think. If you were to drive here, it's almost like 2,000 miles from my house here in southern Michigan. But you'd wind up on 95 here, State Highway 95, and you'd have to turn down Candelaria Road here. But this structure is 3 miles from 95 here, and I always thought, I wonder what it looks like. I bet you'd be able to clearly see it from 95 here, even though it's 3 miles away. And lo and behold, I checked Google Maps and did like directions and the way there, and luckily they show pictures of what it should look like when you get there, and they actually showed a picture right here. So I thought that was really exciting. So I was able to look down this way, and lo and behold, there was the pyramid. It was really exciting, and you can clearly see it's even more remarkable from this view. So let's take a look at it. Let's get big over here. This is there it is zoomed in. Isn't that something? There. Let's see. I think this one here is the natural. This is the original camera shot from the camera's point of view. This is 3 miles away there, and there it is right there. Look at that. You can clearly see it. It doesn't look like any of the mountains, surrounding mountains, which incidentally, this whole area is surrounded 360 degrees with nothing but mountains. This is the only very basic flat plain area. But sure enough, this is just like I expected it would be. You can clearly see the angles. This part is further away from the camera, so it's somewhat blurry. As you could see on the close-ups here, I zoomed in a little more, and you could clearly see this thing. Look at that sharp, sharp angle. This is just incredible. And it's clearly doesn't match any of the surrounding terrain. It's clearly not natural. It was clearly made, and it was not made recently, or certainly from the mining operations. And even if it wasn't from the mining operations, no one else would make this for any other reason. Only our ancestors had reasons to make pyramids, which is still kind of elusive as to why. No doubt, we'll show on the ley lines that sure enough, the ley lines do go on either side of the pyramid, and they actually join not far beyond the pyramid. So this thing is planted right between two ley lines, which we could show here. But let me show some more. I even think I have closer up ones than this. See, this is closer. Look at that. You could clearly see. It would take a great deal of effort to construct this and have it maintain that without erosion. And it's quite apparent that this whatever's on top, the topsoil on this structure has been there for a long time, and it's not even thinking about eroding. Here's the closest one I can get without too much severe pixelation. But you can clearly see the structuring of this very straight top, very flat base, very sharp, precise 53-degree angles on all four sides with the sharp corners. Very, again, if this was material from byproducts from mining operations, these would not be sharp and defined like this. I'm telling you, there's no way. Look at that. I mean, I was really excited when I found these pictures on Google, because I looked before a while back and I could not find it. So this is obviously recent data here. It's very exciting, because personally I would love to go visit this site. It's like a day and 4 hours. It's like 29 hours away. So it wouldn't take much to get there, and I'd love to check it out. Get some boots on the ground, and get a pick and shovel and delve underneath this and see if there are indeed smooth, flat casing stones or smooth faced casing stones on there. So if we get to the ley lines, here I kind of scribbled this in. This is the approximate location. Of course, it's not where these all intersect right there. That's in California. But there's one going, depending on which one you look at. This is the one. This is a map of Nevada. You can see the state line here. So don't get this confused with the ley lines. That's a state borderline. And these are ley lines here. But look at right here is the pyramid. Or almost like right there. And look at these. It's between two ley lines, and they come to a point. That's why I was mentioning maybe that other side was true north, because for some reason it shows north on these ley lines. So maybe this was true north during prehistoric times. But this is interesting. It's literally between two ley lines, which would make sense because could take advantage of the energy from both ley lines evenly, as opposed to if it was sitting on one or the other. So that was very interesting. That was a great question. Whoever asked that, thank you. I mean, it's great. And here, this one here, again, here is the general area of the pyramid, and we could see, two lines going through it. The black one and a black one and a white one. I'm not sure what the color coding is. Again, I'm not that knowledgeable on it. I haven't researched it enough. But this one's really interesting here because this one actually shows Pyramid Lake, which is northwest of the pyramid. This Pyramid Lake wasn't named after this supposed pyramid because there's an island on there that looks like a pyramid. But again, they were oblivious to that possibly being a pyramid. Or some may know about it, some geologists might know about it, but they can't talk about it because, again, they don't want us to start wondering why there would be a prehistoric pyramid in the middle of the high plains in Nevada, because then we'd start wondering what's going on here, right? So they may have been keeping this from us and may have been aware of it, geologists and whatnot. But this one's interesting because this main line of this big triangle goes right through the pyramid. Again, there's Pyramid Lake northwest of it, and the pyramid's right about there, and this major line, goes right through it, which is very intriguing. So, no matter what map you look at of ley lines, there's always at least one line going through the pyramid site. So that's remarkable in and of itself. So there's a lot of amazing things about this, that we can really, again, it's very difficult to see that unless you're really looking really, really close. But anyway, I thought I'd do a revisit on this simply to, you know, check out the ley lines with you, and also to have an answer with that person who suggested that Mary and I do our research. Let me tell you a little something about Mary. Now, that woman spends at least 12 to 16 hours a day doing research. So, people who suggest that she do research, better think again, really, because that's all she does. And she's very good at it. She's better than I am when it comes to that. And I thought I was good. And believe me, I did my research on this site long before I did any videos about it, especially on Mary's channel. I'm going to be very careful when it comes to doing stuff on her channel. I'm not going to come out and just nilly-willy just so she can get subscribers and views, come up with some fabricated story without researching it. Believe me, I researched this. And my conclusion is that this is a prehistoric pyramid that was not completed. The base is totally completed. It's almost like 1/3 of the volume of the pyramid had it been completed. So they were, essentially 1/3 of the way complete with this thing. And there's no way that this is anything to do with the mining operations. It's economically impossible, among other reasons, many others. So it's, I figured, in all fairness, we can answer that question, and also really make it clear to you that you're not going to find a better researcher than Mary, because she has the patience that it takes to do intensive research, which is one of the hardest things, and I know it's the hardest thing for me, that's for sure. So I thought we'd revisit this and then answer the argument about it being, which I already thought I did in the first video, but I have to do it again and make it even more clear and hopefully more understandable to those who may still think that this has anything to do with the mining operations, in past, present, anything. It's obviously this is very ancient, so well, anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and Mary and I thank you very much for watching, and we'll Google trot at you later.